there, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Out, the podcast, the greatest podcast featuring two guys talking. I'm the board game guru, game master extraordinaire, Jahananan.
And I'm the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse Drew Munhausen, and welcome to episode 150 of Fresh Out the podcast.
Wow.
As a special event for episode 150, instead of talking about any kind of movies, TV shows, or anything pop culture related, from this point moving forward, we're just going to say the words "stay fresh" 150 different times in 150 different inflections, and that will be the whole episode. Ready? Here we go.
Stay fresh, stay fresh,
Stay fresh.
stay fresh, stay fresh, stay fresh. I don't want to do this.
Stay fresh. No, of course, just kidding. No, we did it. 150 episodes. Pretty cool accomplishment. Don't have anything really special planned other than just saying, Jahan, I like you, and I like having conversations with you.
Hey,
enough
man.
to do it over 150 times.
I like you and talking to you enough to do it 150 times as well, buddy. It does feel like an accomplishment. I mean, I don't know. I remember when we started off, we didn't know how this was going to go, and now we can't stop, and we don't want to because it's amazing.
And every now and then we take a week off or something, or because we got family and we got things. But otherwise, we keep it pretty consistent when we can. And yeah, it's nice. It's we've gotten to know each other a lot over the past few years, and even the transition for Gary used to be the third part of the trifecta, and he departed the show, and Jahan and I have gotten to know each other better, and it's been really nice.
It's been nice, yeah. Yeah, a lot of the viewers might not know. We actually our interactions have mostly in life been through the podcast at this point.
That's true. Gary was kind of the tie that united us, and then but now here we are, Jahan and I doing our thing.
We're friends. It's nice that this could happen. I have enjoyed it immensely, buddy.
Me too. And it actually, it feels justified that the 150th episode falls on like kind of a busy news week, especially in the gaming realm for us. I did want to point out, because I realized on Monday when it was the 5th that was 1 month until the Switch 2 released.
Yep.
And it's kind of a cool perk of the fact that the console was announced so close to its release date, and then the fact that pre-orders got pushed a little bit. It's like by the time we got the pre-orders and we were all set in stone, it's like we really don't have to wait very long. I mean, we have 1 month until the Switch 2, until a new video game console. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bright side
I was gonna
too.
ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, have you like pre-ordered any
Why?
accessories or like gone back to it or anything?
Why? True. They're going to think that we talked about this ahead of time and that this is a bit right now. But why are you shaming me right now, bruh? Why are you doing this? Yes, I did. Okay, Drew.
Oh, good. Well, no, this is good. Well, because I did the same. I've been thinking about it, and I went online today, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and pre-order the Switch 2 Pro controller, because I have the Pro controller for the original Switch, and it's what I use primarily, and I have to start thinking about other things now, right? I have a 5-year-old who has started to ask to play Mario Kart 8 on the Switch, and I'm going to get a Switch 2. I'm going to have a new Mario Kart game, and it's not just going to be me in my family that plays it, because my wife will probably play a little bit of that too, because she does not play games very much, but Mario Kart is the one thing that she'll be like, I'll play around with this. So I need controllers, and so I'll have a Switch 2 Pro controller. The old Pro controller is compatible. I'll have the new Joy-Cons with the Switch 2. I'll have my old Joy-Cons, and like I'll have enough for 4 sets of controllers. So that was kind of my reasoning. But yeah, what did you end up getting?
I have always wanted a Pro controller. My financial situation has only recently gotten to the point where I can buy things like that. So, I was like, I waited for the Switch 2 because I was like, Switch 2 is about to come out. I'm not going to buy one for the Switch 1. So I pre-ordered a Pro controller for Switch 2. And also, on the pre-order night, I didn't mention this, but they did pre-orders for the new Tears of the Kingdom Champions amiibos. And so I got those as well. So... Yep. And I almost bought a camera and stuff. I almost bought a couple of things, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hold off. Maybe the
That's
cameras
honestly
are
what I
stupid.
thought you were gonna say when you said I was shaming you for the accessories. I thought you were gonna say the camera. And today I was looking on YouTube at Nintendo's YouTube just to see, what all kinds of. It's mostly just like Switch 2 game announcements from some from third party consoles, but I was going back to all their release stuff. And did you see? This is kind of old news at this point, but it's worth noting. Paul Rudd was featured in a Super Nintendo commercial
Yeah.
years ago, and they kind of recreated that for a Switch 2 commercial.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so
But a big focus of that commercial is the camera and the talking with friends. And I was like, watching it, and I was like, this is kind of cool in concept. I just don't know that I would ever actually use it.
yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that I was just like, I'm gonna see what the mood is and see if like we're actually gonna need this.
I think
Honestly,
that's the best way to go about it. Like if we have friends that have one and actually do use it, and I'm like, well, I want to do that too, then I'd consider it. But I
me
just
too.
don't think it's gonna be a thing.
I was really tempted. The peripheral company Hori makes a PD Piranha looking camera, and it looks like really cool. And I was tempted, man, but I reined it in. I reined it in.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of this is actually a good kind of transition point while I'm thinking about it, because when I ordered the Switch 2 Pro controller, and you probably experienced this too, I mean, paying $85 for a controller is a little tough to stomach. I feel like I can justify it now because it's a new console, and this is you're already paying $500 for a new console. Like at this point, getting the controller on top of that is just a drop in the bucket. So it's
Yeah.
like, you know, but it's a lot for a controller that's
a
not
lot.
even necessarily a specialty controller. Like it's essentially like getting your standard Xbox controller, but it works for the Switch. It's
Yeah.
not like it's got crazy rumble triggers or this and that, crazy paddles and this and that. It's like a pretty standard controller.
Yeah.
But speaking of controller prices and the Switch 2 accessory prices, they just announced, I think late last week,
Oh boy.
that it was after we had already recorded our podcast, that just due to the economy and everything going on, Xbox is raising prices on pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And I thought this was a pretty shocking move, Jahan. Do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, like, read the room, guys. Like, none of us have it. Like, we don't have money. Like, it's not a thing, really. You know what I mean? We're all broke. We're going into a recession. You know, all this stuff's ridiculous. What are you doing? So, I mean, the reason why, they blame what's going on, it's definitely affecting prices, but it's not affecting prices for the reason that they're saying. They're not saying it's going to cost us more, so you're going to have to pay more. They're saying you're going to have to do that because that's the only way we can keep doing this without negatively affecting shareholders. Like, they could cushion this blow, you know what I mean? But they never will, because, they got to eat their caviar off of gold foiled butt cheeks or whatever they're doing. I don't know, but yep.
It's pretty mind-blowing that in a world where if you're not an early adopter, which I was an early adopter, right? I pre-ordered the Xbox Series X. I got it on release day. I paid $500 for that console. It's been almost 5 years since then. That console came out in the fall, I think in November of 2020. So we're approaching the 5-year anniversary
And
of that.
the price went up. Yeah, I
The
don't
price went up.
I don't know that that's ever happened in console history where they went up in price after 5 years. That's crazy.
And usually the talk is people that don't buy it day one are like, I'm going to wait, and I'm going to wait a couple years till the price goes down, and then I'll pick one up. And I actually remember doing that with the original Xbox.
Yeah.
I had a PS2 and a GameCube, and finally the Xbox lowered its price at one point, and I went and sold, like at a GameStop, it kind of hurts to say now in hindsight, but like I went and sold my Nintendo 64 and all my 64 games at a GameStop and had more than enough credit to get like an Xbox and Halo and a couple other games right after its price drops. So like, it is exciting when a console undergoes a price drop that falls into a range you can afford. The fact that the Xbox Series X that I bought for $500 5 years ago is now $600 kind of blows my mind.
Yeah.
And then they did say the pricing of some of their first-party Xbox games will start going up to $79.99 this holiday season, which is the price that we know Mario Kart World will be sold for on the Switch 2. And so it almost kind of seems like Nintendo pricing that game at that price point is kind of opening the door for the other publishers to be like, yep, we're doing it too, which is kind of, I think, what we feared would happen.
Yeah.
And
they didn't need much
I was
of
maybe
an
a little
excuse.
too optimistic. But yeah. Yeah, so like Grand Theft Auto 6, which we'll get into here in a minute, but like surely that's going to be, a $79.99 game, if not higher. But we'll get into that. I don't know all of this though. Like,
I will happily pay
$500
$500 for Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah. Well, and I saw somebody making a point online that's like, if Xbox is doing this when they're essentially losing the console race, right? The Xbox Series X, as far as I have not done a lot of research on this, but just from the news stories over the years,
it's okay. It's a podcast. No one does research. True.
Right. It seems like the Xbox Series X sold pretty well at launch, like was doing better than the Xbox One, and now as time has gone on, its sales have dwindled to the point where it's like actually selling below the Xbox One, which the Xbox One we know like really underperformed, especially compared to the 360 era. So, the fact that they, as the losers of this current console race, are now feeling confident enough to raise their prices that much, I think this is just another sign that Xbox is going to move towards just being this ultimate publisher of games. And they did just announce this week that they're doing another Gears of War remaster of the original game, and it's coming to PS5 this summer.
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy. It's a Gears of War Reloaded. It's a remaster of the 2006 game, the original Gears of War, which they did this already. They came out with Gears of War Ultimate Edition for Xbox One that was a actually really good remaster. I played that when it came out. It was a good excuse to replay the original Gears of War. It sounds like they've just improved the graphics and performance even more so from that game. There'll be no loading screens at all throughout the campaign if you play through it all the way. And now they're releasing it on other consoles. I don't think that any of this release point, it's really just to line up with the anniversary of the game. And I don't think any of this is really to try to increase the sales or make a dent on Xbox. It seems like this is more geared towards, we're going to create the ultimate version of this game and now release it on other consoles. And you know what? I bet it does sell pretty well on the PlayStation.
I bet it does. And hey, man, if they want to become a publishing only company, fine. Just do it so that I only have to buy. I don't have to choose between PlayStation anymore. I can just get my Xbox games on my PlayStation and just play everything. You know what I mean? That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think the only thing that kind of disappoints me about this release is like, I think Gears fans have kind of been waiting for them to do essentially the Master Chief Collection treatment for the Gears franchise, where it's just going to be like Gears 1 through 3 at least, or maybe Judgment. So maybe those 4 games to be remastered and in one package. And instead, we're just kind of getting another retread of the first game, which, again, if you're not playing it on an Xbox console or if you never played it because you're a PlayStation gamer, this is pretty exciting.
It's a brand new game for you. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, so it's just a sign that as we've expected, more and more games, it's only a matter of time before the Master Chief Collection. Forza just released over there, which actually they on Monday, PlayStation released their April's top downloads for PlayStation 5, and in the US, Minecraft and Forza Horizon 5 are in the top 3. And the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Oblivion Remaster's number 1. Minecraft's number 2. Forza Horizon 5 is number 3. Those 3 games are all Xbox published games, and they're the top 3 downloaded games on the PlayStation console in April.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, so when it comes to like Oblivion remaster, you know what I mean? That game came out when I was in like high school, dude. So if you're in high school now, you were not alive when that came out. So this is like it's a brand new game to so many people. And so of course it's going to do well. You know what I mean? It's a tested and true solid game that's gotten, revved up. I'm not surprised that these games are performing on a console that's never had any of this stuff.
Yep. And then worth noting also, the Indiana Jones game is number 11, so just outside the top 10 for April on PlayStation. So just goes to show, Xbox almost had 4 of the 10 most downloaded games for April on the PlayStation console. It's just crazy times we live in. It does make me wonder if eventually Xbox were to stop selling a console, would Game Pass be a thing on PlayStation? Would that be something they would actually look into allowing?
Give it to me on my Switch 2, baby. I would love that.
It's also worth noting that as part of all these price increases, there was not an additional price increase for Game Pass, at least yet. So while they're increasing the price of some of these first-party games to $80, that doesn't really concern me much because I get all my first-party games through Game Pass anyways. We're about to get a new Doom game next week, which is wild because I've had so much to feast on with Game Pass in the past several months.
Dude, we're going to talk about it later for sure because I have been going off on Game Pass all week, dude. It's been magic.
Well, I've made a big deal about, like, I've essentially been transitioning to getting a lot of my multi-console games or certain things on PlayStation and playing there. And yet I've been, and I'll play Game Pass releases on Xbox. But yet here I am still playing my Xbox all the time because I've been stuck on playing South of Midnight. And then now Clear Obscure Expedition 33, which I think I'm getting close to, like, the last act of the game. And Doom comes out next week. Well, like, I'm not even going to start playing Doom till I finish Expedition 33, and I am having such a good time with Expedition 33 still that I'm not even ready to jump off of it yet, despite a new big game, big shiny game like Doom coming out. I feel like there's another game before. Oh, Avowed. That was the other one. I was like, there's another big game that I'm not remembering. So, like, most of this year, my gaming has been on the Xbox anyway, just because of their first-party output. And I haven't even gotten to touch the Oblivion remaster other than, like, the day it came out when I played it a little bit. So they're actually doing a really good job of keeping me on that console despite my efforts to switch to another console. It's crazy.
Game Pass is going hard right now, dude. I'm excited to talk about it.
It's also worth noting that I saw somebody make a good point because if PlayStation decides to follow suit with what Xbox has done with raising console prices, the PlayStation 5 Pro that came out, I can't remember, I think last year, it retails for $700, doesn't have a disc drive. People made a big fuss of that. If you remember, that was way too overpriced, but it's a niche console. It's not for everyone. It's for the hardcore enthusiasts. $700 is tough to stomach for a console. Well, now the Xbox Series X digital edition, the 2 terabyte, special edition version of the Xbox Series X is $730 with these price increases. The PS5 Pro is $700 still right now. There's a chance it could increase to $800 or more if they decide to put in their own price increases. So somebody was like, actually might be a good investment if you want to buy a PS5 Pro now because there's a chance their prices could go up soon. And with as amazing as GTA 6 looks, I'm like, man, might be good to get a PS5 Pro and I can play it on the PS5 Pro when it comes out. Like, who knows? But anyway, it's a lot of speculation, but it kind of seems like the writing's on the wall for a lot of these things.
Yeah, it's frightening.
Indeed. Well, let's talk about GTA 6 really quick because I think everybody was preparing for that game to come out in the fall. It seemed like there were a lot of games hesitant to even plan their release dates in the fall because they were waiting to see what GTA 6 was doing, and they all wanted to get out of its way. Well, GTA 6 has officially moved into 2026. Rockstar issued a statement saying as such, And then a few days after that, they released a new trailer. And it does have a hard release date now, which to me makes it feel like they just need a lot more polish and time than this year. And if they're giving it a release date of May, I should know this. It's May 2026, but I can't remember what the actual date is. That it's coming
May
out.
25th?
But regardless, that sounds right. It's May 20 something. This is great podcasting. Anyways, the fact that they've given it a hard release date to me shows they're confident in it.
Yeah.
May 26th. May 26th is the release date. May 26th, 26. Easy to remember from that standpoint.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you need a few more months to make GTA 6 what I expect, take it. I'm fine with that. I will wait because I know once I pick that game up, my life is over. So,
yep.
You know, like, give me a few more months with my son before he forgets what I look like. You know what I mean?
Yep. I have a friend whose wife is pregnant and right now, and by the time this game comes out, his baby will be probably about 7 months old, and he's already telling his wife, like, you and the baby just won't be able to talk to me for a week. Like, I'm sorry. Planning ahead for that. The trailer looked great. I thought the actual gameplay and imagery of it, like physically the way it looks, because I'm assuming it's all in engine. Like, it looks like it's a lot of cutscenes. It's a story-based trailer.
Yeah.
But it looks to me like it's going to transition right in and out from those cutscenes to gameplay.
So I read somewhere that the trailer was equal parts cutscene and gameplay. So
okay,
and you can't tell the difference, so that's a good thing. So it does seem like it's supposed to look that amazing.
And I didn't like rewatch this trailer over and over trying to figure out ins and outs and details.
Yeah.
Like, I get that there's the two main characters, Lucia and Jason, who are your protagonists. And there was a lot of, I mean, it's Vice City, right? So there was a lot of, nightclubs and dancing and all the kinds of stuff that you expect from like a Vice City themed Grand Theft Auto game. But still, just the people, the animations, everything looked incredible. And I was even saying that day, I'm like, everybody's up in arms about game prices increasing. I'll pay $100 for Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't care. Like, I know that we're not supposed to be asking to pay more for games.
We're not supposed to.
This is the one where I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna have to take the week off work when this comes out. Like, I'm gonna have to clear the schedule. This is what life's gonna be.
Yeah, I'm not having plans that weekend, dog. That's gonna be, ooh, I'm so excited, man. I remember when GTA Online went live. That was everything, man. It had a rocky start, but once it got running, dude, and I can't wait, man. This game, the trailer, it looks like they really did like that Florida vibe. I felt it. You know what I mean? You see the gators and stuff, and the hick cops and all that good stuff. Definitely setting you up to fight against some corrupt ass police, which I'm all for. It just looked fun, man, and it's as zany. The TV commercials, all of it, dude. It looks like they're hitting every note that they always have, and I think it's gonna be 10 out of 10, man.
I agree, and it was fun watching the trailer and some of the supporting characters that showed up in the trailer. There's been no cast list announced for this game. Like, you can't go on IMDb and see who's in it. But watching the trailer, one of the characters absolutely sounded like Stephen Root. And I don't know if it's him or not, who has been in a ton of things, like going back all the way to Office Space. But most recently, I think of him in the show Barry with Bill Hader that I really enjoyed. But like another character kind of sounded like it could be Bobby Monahan, and there are a few people I thought that sounded familiar, but I have no way to confirm it. But it seems like they're going to have an interesting cast for this game too.
It probably wasn't that hard to get them to say yes, because everybody loves GTA. I'm sure a lot of celebrities would love to be in it. So
somebody pointed out online that the cost to make this game and time it has taken to allegedly develop it, because it's been since 2013 that the last Grand Theft Auto game came out, but we also had a Red Dead Redemption game that came out between now and then. So like probably 8 years of intense development on this game, but apparently the cost and development time is longer and higher than building the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, which is wild. I'm sure that there's like things about that stat that can be adjusted to show, maybe that wouldn't be the case, but yeah.
That's pretty funny. Well, hell yeah, man. Sounds like they're building the world's tallest game, dude. I'm down.
Yeah. Okay. Well, those were all the big kind of news items. In a way, I did. Before we get into Thunderbolts, I do. We'll jump into fresh movies. I did see Thunderbolts, and I want to talk about it. But you finally got to see Sinners.
Yep.
And I want to talk about that first.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Sinners is one of the greatest movies I've seen in recent history. It's a fantastic horror movie. Honestly, a lot of how scary and creepy stuff was hit me in hindsight because I was just absorbing everything. There's a lot of really cool scenes. The acting is phenomenal. Michael B. Jordan playing the Smokestack twins he kills it. Honestly, I don't know that it's rare to see characters that well developed and written. Both of those characters are deep. They're twins, but they're very individualistic. They're very different. All the characters, super fleshed out, lots of backstory, a lot of history on that screen. The vampires, fantastic. I loved it. They were cool. Parts of that got a little funny, but not in a takeaway kind of way. This movie tackles a lot of things, mainly racism and the fact that I don't know, like the reason why certain this is really a black culture film, very much so, and they really get into why certain things mean so much to the culture. And you can see, oh man, there's a scene where they're in the car and the old man, the old black blues man guy, he's telling this story to these two younger guys, and it's about how unfair treatment, people were killed, brutalized by like cops, some lynchings happened. He was telling this story, and he makes this noise of just like it's like a grunt, like a moan. It's just pain. You know what I mean? It's audible. You could hear it. And the actor does an amazing job. And he takes that noise and he just turns it into music. And then I'm like, man, like I've understood, like I get like the concepts of the blues, but I've never seen it happen like that. And it was such an amazing, it was one of the most amazing moments I've ever seen captured in a movie. And I just feel like this movie's important for people to see. Sure, it's a vampire movie. There's lots of sex and violence and all that good stuff, but man, a whole people's pain and history is just sprawled out for you to see in such a beautiful way. And so I think this movie is not just good; it's a triumph, an absolute triumph for the culture and for all culture. It's definitely something. If you haven't seen this movie, you're missing out. It's worth seeing. You want to be someone who saw this movie and can talk about it.
And I talked about it a little bit from a box office perspective last week because that was such a big story that this movie opened to 48 million domestic. It then only dropped like 5 to 6% and made 45 million in its second weekend. And then in its third weekend, it only dropped like another 20 something or so percent. I don't have the actual math in front of me, but it made $33 million in its third weekend, which is insane.
Yeah.
For this movie. This movie's made almost $250 million worldwide, which for an original genre film like this is definitely a triumph, as you said. So I love that the word of mouth on this movie has been so positive that people are going to go see it. It seems like it's really resonating with people. Um, and there's a lot about black culture in this movie, but it's clear that this movie is not just appealing to black audiences. Like
No.
everybody's going to see this movie, which is really awesome.
Yeah, no, this is definitely an important movie for everyone to see. And I'm really happy I did. And this is one of the movies I feel like I will watch periodically again,
Yeah.
just throughout life because it's really good.
Worth noting that you did go to see this in its third weekend of release instead of seeing Thunderbolts in its first weekend of release.
Correct.
I think that says something. Um,
I don't think Thunderbolts
speak-
thought that they'd be competing with a third week original horror movie, but they definitely are. All the showings were sold out, man. Like I barely got tickets for this in the third week. That's crazy.
Well, and worth noting, yeah, Thunderbolts did still take the weekend. It made almost 75 million, just below, so about where the expectations were for this movie. I did go and see it, and I'm happy to say that I enjoyed it.
Excellent.
I had a good time seeing Thunderbolts. My take on it is this felt like a Marvel movie that would have come out in like 2017, 2018 when all the Marvel movies were just really hitting and they were all like pretty consistently good. I'm not putting this in the territory of like Marvel, we're so back. Like I don't think it's that necessarily, but like it was just nice to see a pretty solid Marvel movie when a lot of the recent ones have been pretty underwhelming.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of safe to say this is like a top 3 Marvel movie of the post Endgame time frame. You know, of like the 14 or so movies that have come out post Endgame. But I mean, that's really just putting it along the lines of like Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Spider-Man No Way Home. Like this probably sits like maybe of the third of those movies, but I don't know, saying it's one of the best of the post Endgame era isn't necessarily like the highest of praise, but it's really solid. I enjoyed it. There's a few scenes in it that are like shot on location. It feels like real places and not just stuff on a green screen. Because if you think about it, I went back and looked at all the Marvel movies that have come out in recent time. It's been a while since we've had one that just took place in New York City, or at least a portion of it in New York City, and this did. Like there's scenes in Manhattan that made it feel like a Marvel movie, so that was kind of nice. So Florence Pugh is incredible. I mean, I've always loved her, and she's a star, and she really holds the movie down. But like, I really enjoyed David Harbour in this. I'd seen some reviews that said that his shtick got old in this, and I disagree. Like, I thought he was actually pretty consistently funny. I thought Wyatt Russell as U.S. Agent was pretty solid, and I thought that Bob, the new character introduced, who I think Marvel fans and people know, they introduce him in the trailer as just being Bob, but I think most people know he's the Sentry, right? So I thought that Lewis Pullman, who plays Bob / the Sentry in this movie, was actually really surprised me as being really great, especially knowing that he wasn't even the original choice to play this role.
Yeah.
Stephen Ewan was supposed to play this role, and then when the strikes happened and production on this movie got delayed, he had to pull out of the movie for scheduling purposes, and then Lewis Pullman's who replaced him, and Lewis Pullman was great in it. Like, I thought he was really solid, and the stuff they do with Sentry and that arc with Void and everything is pretty cool.
Hell yeah,
So
man.
overall, I'd say I enjoyed it. It's like a solid 3.5 out of 5 is about where I'd put it.
Oh, that's pretty
but
good.
I enjoyed myself. I wanted to ask you, Jahan, because there's been a little bit of controversy with the marketing of this movie this week.
Okay.
Have you seen anything about Thunderbolts in the news circa like Monday or so?
No.
Okay, that's good. Because they made some interesting marketing choices in this movie that kind of leaned into some spoilers of it that upset some fans.
Okay.
Because Marvel decided to move pretty quickly with this when the movie had only been out for 3 days.
No.
I won't say what it is for your sake because you don't know, but essentially it's the question everybody's been asking about Thunderbolts with an asterisk and why does it have an asterisk? They're starting to spoil that. Like, it's out there now. And that's all I'll say about it. And it's a pretty ballsy move from Marvel to essentially like spoil one of their own things through a marketing gimmick. But it might be why they did it, because like now if you didn't see it in its opening weekend, you're like, well, I got to see it because of this.
Yeah.
I assume you don't want me to tell you what that is.
No, I'm good. I'm going to try to see it this weekend. I'm excited to see it. So we'll see.
Those who know what I'm talking about will know, and those who don't know, hopefully you don't get spoiled by the internet and all the people that have been leaning into this. I'll just call it a gimmick for now. Hopefully you stay unspoiled between now and when you get to see it, John, because I thought this was a cool thing in the movie, and now everybody knows.
Yeah.
So, sorry to speak in circles about it.
It's okay.
But I was just kind of curious because it has been a very interesting marketing ploy from Marvel.
I look forward to seeing it.
There's that. The only other thing I watched as far as movies this week goes is I watched Lilo and Stitch, the animated movie. I'd never seen it.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that last time we were talking about the live action.
Yeah, there's a live action adaptation coming out in a couple weeks. My daughter has watched the original Lilo and Stitch a couple times, and so I was like, "You want to watch it with me?" Because I've never seen it. She was like, "Yes," and I watched it. And my takeaway: Have you seen Lilo and Stitch?
Oh yeah.
Okay. My takeaway from it is Stitch is a little menace. First off, he's a stinker.
He's a Dickens.
He is, and but he's kind of funny. But initially, I was like, my 5-year-old, like, do not take any lessons Lilo is teaching you from this movie and put them into reality, because Lilo is not a well-behaved child in the first half of this movie, and there's a lot of reasonings for it, but I was like, oh no, like, young children seeing this, if they look up to Lilo as an example, the poor parents, because Lilo is really the stinker of the two. If you think about it.
It's been a while.
Well, that it's been like 2 days for me. So, but no, Lilo and Stitch, it's cute, it's silly. It's not one of the Disney movies, one of the Disney animated classics for me personally. But I know that a lot of kids, especially your Gen Zers, I think really love this one. And it's kind of crazy that the Lilo and Stitch live action remake comes out the same weekend as a new Mission Impossible movie starring Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise is probably going to come in second place at the box office to a Lilo and Stitch live action remake.
Probably, yeah. I mean, you can take the whole family, Yep.
Family movies, Memorial Day weekend, it makes sense.
It does make sense. Well, hell yeah, man. I look forward to your thoughts on the live action.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a few weeks. The funny thing right now is there's a couple movies coming out soon, but like there's a new Josh Hartnett action movie called Fight or Flight, and A24 movie Friendship with Tim Robinson that I want to see.
I love Tim Robinson.
Next weekend. Yeah, then on the 16th we've got a new Final Destination movie, which okay, but really Thunderbolts came out this past weekend, and it's kind of an open lane for it to just continue playing, along with Sinners. Sinners will benefit from this too, because the next really big box office weekend, in my opinion, isn't until the 23rd when Mission Impossible and Lilo and Stitch come out. Because Final Destination, I'm sure will do fine. Horror does fine. This is, I think, the 6th movie in the Final Destination franchise. There's been a lot of them. I haven't seen a single one of them.
I think so, and I'm pretty sure I've seen every single one of them.
Okay, well there you go.
You haven't seen the first one?
I have seen
the first one was an iconic piece of Americana when it came out, dude.
I will watch at least the first one before the new one.
Please watch the first one. It's important. It's important to American culture.
But my understanding is there's not really a through line through these movies, right? It's just this concept of people avoiding death and the movie shows like the most gruesome kills imaginable, and that's kind of like the
Oh,
gimmick of the movie. Is
the
just the most
first
gruesome
two,
kills.
the second one is a direct sequel that does
Okay.
matter. And then I think the third one is kind of standalone, but one of the later ones, I think the most recent one, ties them all together. So like
Oh,
it's
interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
And like in a
Shoot, am I gonna have to binge watch 5 Final Destination movies
Hey,
before
man.
the 16th when the new one comes out?
I feel like it's time well spent. I think that they're pretty solid.
I did just watch 10 Star Trek movies in recent weeks, so
You
I guess
did?
I can stomach 5 Final Destination movies.
Yeah, I'm
And
I'm
a
a,
6th one in
I am a
theaters.
fan. There's another horror movie coming out from A24. I forget what it's called, but it looked really good.
Is it the one called Bring Her Back? This is the one from the directors of, oh gosh, Talk to Me. The one with the hand.
It might have been.
If you remember, like the porcelain hand. The directors of that movie have a new movie coming out called Bring Her Back that looks pretty creepy from the trailers.
Yeah, and they have some good stuff on the horizon from A24, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Well, shall we move on to Fresh TV?
We shall.
Don't have too much to talk about here. You want me to go first?
You go ahead.
Okay. So I've been watching the show From.
From
Just
where?
from. Just from.
From
just,
who?
Just from. From the creator of
from-
Lost. It's from the creator of Lost. So yeah, the show from
who? From
the creator of Lost. Yeah.
It's called From.
It's called From.
Never gets old.
Never gets
There's
old.
been how many seasons of this that we've been able to do this? 'Cause
This-
I think you watched the first season while we were recording this show, so every
Yeah.
time it comes up, I get to do that.
So I just finished, I believe, the finale of the third season, third or fourth season. I think it was the third one. But so I'm all caught up. The show, it has another season coming out. So my thoughts on it: it's solid. It's got some good horror. They do some tropes that I hate, but so far it hasn't been an issue. It's a really interesting show. The only problem is that it is from the creator of Lost, and I'm worried that it's not going to pay off. So, like, everything's really weird and interesting, and there's, like, a lot of mystery, but that only matters if you get to find out the answers and they're satisfying. So I'm a little worried, but I'm hoping that this is his, like, redemption for Lost, because he got screwed by, like, a writer's strike or whatever. But, yeah. That's
For a
my
long
take
time,
on it.
I was an avid defender of the Lost finale. At this point, it's been so long since I've seen it, I can barely even remember like why I was defending it or what happened. I would do a Lost rewatch in the future, but I feel like it'd be a bit of a. That first and second season would go down like fine wine, and then some of the later seasons would probably age a little bit more like
That was one of Jenny's, like, pregnancy and early baby time watches. She rewatched Lost. She's a big fan.
It's the classic show of like the mystery box thing was really kind of introduced with that show, and a lot tried to copy it. First and second seasons I thought were really solid. The third season is where they clearly were like, we don't know how many seasons we're gonna get, so we're kind of dragging this out, and like, you know, some of there's the thing that everybody makes a fuss of like the origin of Jack's tattoos. It's like it played out in a whole episode that's stupid and pointless.
Yeah.
And then it was actually after the strike, they were like, okay, let's get our stuff together. Let's figure out the plan for the show. Let's like actually map it out. And they set an ending and then stuck to it. So, you know,
Yeah.
that show gets a little unhinged.
It does. I've seen some of it, and like they have some really cool concepts that I feel like if they went with, like, to completion, would have been pretty cool. But it's whatever.
It suffered due to being a network TV,
Yeah.
you know, show that, you know, needing 20 something episodes a season, consistently coming on each year. If it was designed now for prestige TV audiences and like the seasons were, you know, 12 episode seasons, but maybe a year or two between seasons, like given an extra time and extra writing, like that show could have been so good if it came out like now.
It's probably
the same
true.
concept. But that's of course just
That is more the style of
dream
From.
scenario.
Shorter seasons, more time between. We'll see. What about you? You
Well,
watch
I
ATV? You
watched.
watch something?
It did. I watched the first episode of season 2 of The Rehearsal.
Oh my god,
This
there's a
is
season
the
two.
There is. This is the
Uh,
Nathan Fielder show. The first season I think came out in 2022, and I remember I was not like a Nathan Fielder fan. I had not really watched much Nathan For You. I was unfamiliar with his style of comedy. I watched the first season of The Rehearsal, and from where that season starts to where it ends up is just an absolutely wild ride. And for me, Nathan Fielder's style of comedy clicked with me in it. Like I quickly figured out, like, okay, this is how this guy operates. I still think he's like a super genius
he is.
and just a master of comedy. And the things that he does to act as if it's unintentional comedy within the show that have to be planned bits are so good. I loved the first season of The Rehearsal.
Same.
The second season, Nathan Fielder. I've only watched the first episode. There's 3 out, so I need to catch up. And I've heard that it goes off the rails quickly within like by the 3rd episode. But from watching the first episode, the premise is Nathan Fielder is trying to fix the airline industry. And in particular, he is trying to he dives into, and this seems like he did real research on it, right? Like this is actually potentially a hobby of his. He researched like all major airline crashes from major airlines in like the past X amount of years. And the common denominator that he found between all of these crashes were the communication between the pilot and the co-pilot and issues or errors in communication between them, or the pilot making the co-pilot feel like they couldn't step in to assist or do things, is like a big reason why these planes crashed. So he like recreates an airplane cockpit and all this stuff, and he like finds a co-pilot. But essentially, it's like it seems like communication is kind of what he's getting at as an overall theme to that. I have a feeling it's going to stray from the airline origins at some point and be more about communication in general. But actually, it's worth noting, we as Houstonians, IAH, Bush Intercontinental Airport, is prominently featured in the first episode. It's the area where he's doing a lot of his research and hanging out there. And he recreates an entire Bush Airport terminal as part of the show.
Of course he does.
And worth noting, my place of work outside this show is prominently featured on advertisements in the airport, and even those advertisements are recreated within his like model set that he makes, and that blew my mind. So there's like a lot of Houston in the first episode, which I thought was interesting. But it quickly goes from co-pilots and pilots to he meets a co-pilot, starts studying him, and discovers the communication issues between the co-pilot and the co-pilot's own girlfriend, and then trying to like fix their own communication issues by having the girlfriend dress as a pilot and have them talk in the cockpit of the plane together. I mean, it's like it just quickly unravels.
He's a master of comedy, dude. I've always loved Nathan Fielder. I'm definitely gonna watch this. This is, oh man, I can't believe he did a second season.
I was kind of like, there's no way we can hit the highs of the first season in a second season. And then I watched the first episode. I was like, oh no, Nathan Fielder, comedic genius.
That dude's unhinged, dude. He's a crazy person.
Yeah. So that's The Rehearsal. It's season 2. It is streaming on Max. Which, by the way, I didn't include it on here, and neither did you. But it is worth noting that I'm all caught up on The Last of Us still. I've watched the most recent episode, but I don't have much to say about it. But I'm keeping up with that.
Yeah, I'm keeping up with it too. And we'll talk about big moments when it's okay. Fresh games this week.
Fresh games.
It looks like you want to talk about Clair Obscura a little bit, huh?
Well, and I won't waste time talking about it because I think you and I spoke at length about it last week and kind of reviewing it. And I have just still been playing it when I can. I wish I could have gotten to play it more in the last week, but I've just been really busy with work and life and things. But I'm still really enjoying it. I've put maybe about 27, 28 hours into it, and I think I'm kind of nearing a big climax of it, would be my expectation. And I'm at around level 50 with some of my party members, so I've made a pretty good dent into the game, but I'm I'm just not. There's a lot of times when I put in a lot of hours into these big RPGs because I love that genre and I play a lot of them. And sometimes you get 25, 30 hours into it and that sheen starts to wear off and you get into the grind and you're like, I like this game, but I'm also kind of ready to finish it now.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that way with this. I'm like, I could keep playing this and keep playing it and keep playing it. So I have a feeling that even if I beat it, has a new game plus mode, I might try to do that. And,
there is some good news.
Try to earn more achievements.
There is some good news on that front. The studio said that they were going to see how it was received, and it's been received really well. So they are going to make DLC. So
yeah,
that's exciting.
And I was reading today about what all the New Game Plus has, and if you do New Game Plus, you keep all your character progression, but then in the world, like the Pictos and everything reappear in the same spots where they were the first time, but by picking them up again, you level up the current version, and the stats are way better and things like that. I was like, oh man, that's kind of worth jumping into because you get to keep improving characters, but they did say none of the plot or anything changes in a replay. So, but still, like, the plot is great, the story is great, but the gameplay loop of it I still find so satisfying too.
It's really good.
I'm not even tired of it.
No, they somehow made the genre new again for everybody. It's a very fun loop. The characters are fresh. Their gimmicks are sick. I'm enjoying it, man. It was hard to put down, like, I've been playing it. I feel the exact same way. Right now, it's sitting at my game of the year, and with Grand Theft Auto getting pushed to next year, it has a decent chance of keeping that seat. But just Game Pass has been going off lately. I'm a big fan of indie games, and some of them piqued my interest. So I had to put it down because I wanted to play these so I could talk about them on the podcast. I'll start it off. Blueprints is
I know of this game because I've heard some of the legends about it already.
Some people are saying this is game of the year. It is an indie game. It is a roguelike puzzle exploration game. Sort of in the vein of like Myst. It's not quite as point and clicky, but it's kind of a point and click game. The gimmick though is, so you're trying to inherit I think it's like your uncle died and he left you his mansion and all the lands, everything. But in order to keep it, you have to find room 66, right? And so every time you open a door, you come into the main entrance hall. There's 3 doors. When you open one, you have to choose what's on the other side of it, right? So you draw blueprints. You get like to pick from 3 different rooms. They all do different things. They all have interesting stuff going on. They can all have random loot. So you're picking up gems and keys and coins and items like metal detectors and shovels and stuff and tools. And you're trying to make it all the way to the furthest tier of the mansion to this like secret room. And you only have so much energy to do this, and you have a certain amount of steps. And by steps, you lose a step every time you go into a new room. It's not actually you can walk around in the room all you want. It's not a big deal. But so you're doing this. You unlock stuff. There are some rooms when you build it, it doesn't do anything until you build it again the next day. Because at the end of each day, you have to leave the mansion. Everything resets, and then you go back in for the next day. That's the roguelike element of it. And sometimes you'll dead end when you're building the rooms. You can't go any further. Sometimes you run out of steps. But it's just a really interesting puzzle game that I find pretty addictive.
I've seen people with entire journals
like
filled out with pages of notes and pictures and things that they've drawn, trying to like solve puzzles and stuff from certain rooms, and I'm like, I can't tell if that looks awesome or super daunting.
So one of the interesting things about the game, they don't really have an in-game journal like most games do. Uh, there are some hints that actually say, hey, you should get a real journal and fill it out to help you solve some of this stuff and keep track of notes and things, because there's like little clues everywhere. And then you find out some stuff like is lies, some stuff's true. It's just a really interesting game. They're going for unique, and like I'm one of those people that complains about the same tired shit coming out over and over again. This game, breath of fresh air, very fun. I enjoy puzzle games, and I enjoy roguelikes. This game, absolutely fantastic, certified fresh, love it. Check it out, free on Game Pass. And then another game that came out. This is also an indie game. I don't know if you've played it. It's been out for a while. And I've always wanted to play it, but I'm like, I was waiting for a sale. None of the sales were ever that great. And I was like, hopefully it'll come to Game Pass. And it did. It surprise dropped.
Didn't it just come to Game Pass like this week?
It just came to Game Pass. This is fresh. But I put in enough time that I feel confident about talking about it already. This is Dredge. This is an indie game in where you are a little fishing boat captain guy. Your whole character model's the little boat. It's just this tiny boat on the screen, and you're sailing around these islands. There's towns on the islands where you can moor for the night. You can buy improvements for the ship. There's some inventory management. Your inventory also has your upgrade slots in it, so like you can cover up upgrade slots to fit more stuff. There's a lot of customization on the boats, a lot of upgrades you can do, and the whole thing, it has kind of like an eldritch horror undertone, because like at night things get weird. There are creatures in the sea you don't want to see at night. There's fog at night. The rocks come out of nowhere. You can damage your ship. You can sink your ship. And if you don't sleep often enough, you can start to go mad. And when you start to go crazy, weird things happen. There's lots of fun story moments in this. A lot of fun quests. But essentially the gameplay loop is you go, you fish, you get money, you upgrade your ship, and then you go out and you fish more. Eventually, you unlock the ability to dredge, which means you can start picking up like treasure and like shipwreck. You can start looting those. All of these have like little mini games. All the mini games are different for the different fish and the different dredging. It's very fun, and you just unlock more and more. There's a lot of cool story going on. It's honestly, this game's got me hooked, dude. Pun unintended. It is very fun, and I'm going to sink a lot of hours into this, dude. Like, for real. It's Dredge, absolutely. Try it out. If it's not for you, it's not for you, but this is right up my alley, so.
Are you going to go back to Clair Obscura?
Dude, I'm going to beat Clair Obscura, no doubt. That game is fantastic, and, like, putting it down to play these games was hard. But I'm glad I did, because these games were really fun.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that does it for fresh games. All that's left, fresh picks of the week. What you got going on, Drew?
This is actually a really hard week, because I could pick Clair Obscura again, but I did pick that last week, so I try not to do that, although I love this game so much. I think of the things I've watched, it's The Rehearsal. I think The Rehearsal is my fresh pick of the week.
Nice.
I just love that show and what they do, and it's just so clever, and I'm looking forward to see it go fully unhinged as the season progresses.
I'm gonna go downstairs and eat dinner and watch the first episode of season 2. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm excited.
You should do that. You should.
My fresh pick of the week, undoubtedly, unequivocally, Sinners was a revolution. I feel like I am born again. It was such a good movie, dude. It really is just an absolute, it's the height of cinema. Ryan Coogler, right? That's his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's a master, and I can't wait to see what he does next. Because holy crap, he set the bar high. But yeah, that's my fresh pick of the week. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. This has been Fresh Out the Podcast. I have been the board game guru, game master extraordinaire, Jahananan.
And I am the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen. And thank you so much for listening to 150 episodes of Fresh Out the Podcast.
Woo, 150 episodes. Wow. Hey, thanks everybody. Stay fresh.